The moment everything changed, I never wanted to be here. My name is David Chen, and I'm a maintenance engineer. Nothing special. I fix broken pipes, faulty wiring, and air filtration systems. That's my job. That's my entire existence in this galaxy. But somehow I ended up standing in the throne room of the most powerful empire in the known universe, the Valanthi Empire. Their palace on Valanthos Prime was carved from living crystal, walls that breathed with soft light, floors that sang beneath your feet, ceilings so high they disappeared into gentle mist. I felt like an oil stain on a wedding dress. The Valanthi were everything humans weren't: tall, graceful, impossibly beautiful. Their ears swept back in elegant points, moving independently to catch sounds from across the room. They could hear a heartbeat from 50 meters away. They could hear lies in the tremor of your voice. And right now, 300 of them were staring at me. Queen Seraphina sat upon a throne of crystallized starlight. Her hair flowed like liquid silver. Her eyes burned with ancient gold. She ruled 47 star systems and commanded fleets that could glass entire planets. Beside her stood her daughter, Princess Lunara. She was maybe 6 years old in human terms, small and delicate, drowning in ceremonial robes that were clearly designed by someone who hated children. Her hair was the black of space itself, and her little pointed ears kept twitching with barely contained energy. She looked bored. I understood that feeling completely. Ambassador Krevoth from the Dominion had been speaking for 20 minutes about trade regulations. His forearms gestured dramatically while his words meant absolutely nothing. I had mentally redesigned the entire ventilation system twice just to stay awake. That's when everything changed. Princess Lunara's head snapped toward me. Not turned, snapped, like a predator locking onto prey. Her golden eyes went wide. Her small mouth fell open. And before anyone could react, before guards could move or courtiers could gasp, she ran, not walked, ran. Her ceremonial robes flew behind her like wings. She dodged through diplomats and nobles, her small feet barely touching the singing floor, and she crashed directly into my legs. Her tiny arms wrapped around me with desperate strength, her face pressed against my stomach, and she held on like I was the only solid thing in a universe made of smoke. The entire palace froze. 300 Valanthi stopped breathing. Ambassador Krevoth's forearms hung suspended in mid-gesture. Servants stood like statues. Drinks trembled in forgotten hands. Queen Seraphina rose from her throne, her golden eyes fixed on me with an intensity that made my heart stop. Around her, royal guards drew weapons that hummed with killing energy, and the little princess whispered words that shattered my entire world. "I finally found you. I've been dreaming about you for so long." The queen's voice cut through the silence like a blade of ice. "Human, you will explain why my daughter, the heir to 47 star systems, just called you her destined one." I looked down at the child clinging to me, then up at the queen whose guards were seconds from ending my existence. I had absolutely no explanation, but I had a terrible feeling that my simple life as a maintenance engineer had just ended forever. The gift she should never have. The guards formed a circle around me. Their weapons hummed with energy that made my teeth ache. Each one was trained to kill in 17 different ways. I knew this because one of them had told me while I was fixing his quarters heating system. Now that same guard looked ready to demonstrate all 17. Queen Seraphina descended from her throne. Each step echoed through the silent chamber. The crystalline floor sang mournful notes beneath her feet, as if the palace itself sensed approaching tragedy. Princess Lunara still clung to me. Her small body trembled, not from fear, from something else, something that felt like relief. "Release him," the queen commanded. Her daughter's arms tightened. "No." The word fell like a bomb. Courtiers gasped. Guards shifted uncertainly. In 3,000 years of recorded Valanthi history, no one had ever refused a direct command from the queen, especially not a 6-year-old princess. Seraphina knelt before her daughter. Her silver hair pooled on the floor like moonlight. Her golden eyes softened with something that looked almost like fear. "Lunara, my star, what is happening?" The queen rose slowly, her eyes never leaving her daughter. The Valanthi once had oracles, seers who could perceive the threads of fate itself. They could see the warmth of destiny, the cold of death, the patterns that connected all living things. The gift was sacred, precious, and it destroyed every oracle who possessed it. The visions drove them mad. The knowledge broke their minds. My daughter, my only child, has just manifested the most dangerous gift in Valantha history. My blood ran cold. And she's connected to me? Seraphina's golden eyes finally met mine. In them, I saw a mother's terror barely contained behind a queen's mask. That is what we must discover. Because according to our histories, an oracle's first vision is always of the person whose fate is most intertwined with the empire's survival. You, human, a maintenance engineer, are somehow connected to the future of my entire civilization. Princess Lunara tugged at my sleeve. The cold is coming, she whispered. Her golden eyes stared at something beyond the walls, beyond the palace, beyond the world itself. So much cold, it wants to freeze everything. But you're different, you burn, not like fire, like a star. The cold is afraid of you. She looked up at me with ancient eyes in a child's face. That's why you have to stay with me, because the cold is already here, and it's wearing my father's face. The throne room erupted in chaos because the king had been dead for 2 years, and whatever was pretending to be him had just been exposed by his own daughter. The thing beneath the crown, the creature wearing the king's face, smiled. It stood at the entrance of the throne room. Tall and regal in royal robes, its silver hair and golden eyes were perfect copies of the late King Aldrich. Every detail was flawless, except for the cold. Now that Lunara had named it, I could almost feel it. A wrongness that made my skin crawl. A chill that had nothing to do with temperature. My dear wife, it said, and the voice was perfect. Warm and loving and completely false. What accusations are these? The creature's smile widened. I am who I have always been, the cold between stars, the hunger that waits in darkness. Your husband's body made such a comfortable home. His memories, his mannerisms, his love for you, all preserved perfectly for my use. Its form flickered. For just a moment, I saw what was underneath. A thing of shadows and frost, of angles that hurt to perceive, of a hunger so vast it made galaxies look small. Then the mask returned. The child should not have been able to see me, it said conversationally. The gift was supposed to be extinct. Imagine my surprise when I felt her wakening. I came to end her before she could reveal me. But now it's golden eyes, not golden, never golden, fixed on me. Now I find something even more interesting. A human. How curious that you can resist my cold. Your species burns so brightly, so wastefully, throwing heat into the void like you have infinite warmth to spare. I have not tasted human essence before. I think I will enjoy it. It moved, not walking, flowing like shadow given form, like cold given purpose. And I did the only thing I could think of. I grabbed Princess Lunara and ran. The creature laughed, a sound like ice cracking. Run, little star, run, little warmth. You cannot escape cold. Cold is patient. Cold is everywhere. Cold is the end of all things. I crashed through a side door, the princess in my arms, her small body pressed against my chest. Behind us, I heard screaming. Guards being frozen solid. Courtiers becoming statues of ice. Left, Lunara whispered. The warm path goes left. I went left, down the stairs, through the garden, the old place, the forgotten place. It's still warm there. I ran through corridors of living crystal, down spiraling stairs that sang beneath my pounding feet, through a garden of bioluminescent flowers that recoiled from the approaching cold. And I found it, a door hidden behind flowering vines. So old the crystal had clouded. So forgotten even the palace seemed unaware of it. Open it, Lunara said. Quickly, the cold is coming. I pressed my hand against the ancient surface, and it opened, not because I knew any code or password, but because something inside recognized me. Recognized my warmth, my humanness, my burning star of a soul. We tumbled through, the door sealed behind us, and the cold, the terrible, hungry cold, screamed with a frustrated rage as it slammed against a barrier it could not cross. We were in a small chamber lit by crystals that pulsed with gentle warmth. At its center stood a pedestal, And on the pedestal rested something that made my breath catch. An artifact of impossible beauty. A small sun trapped in crystal, still burning after 300 years. Lunara's eyes went wide. The oracle's heart, she whispered. The last oracle, she didn't die. She became this. She's been waiting for someone who could carry her fire. The small sun pulsed, and I heard a voice in my mind, ancient and kind and desperately hopeful. Finally, a vessel that won't break. A warmth that can match my own, human. Will you accept my gift? Will you carry my fire against the eternal cold? She nodded. Then guide me, little princess. Let's go save your mother. We emerged from the hidden chamber like dawn breaking over a frozen world. The palace had become a nightmare. Corridors that once sang now groaned with cold. Crystals that once glowed now flickered and died. Courtiers stood frozen in place, expressions of terror preserved in ice. But they weren't dead. I could see their warmth, dim but present, flickering like candles in a storm. The cold hadn't consumed them yet. It was saving them, preserving them like food for later. It's in the throne room, Lunara said, with Mother. Of course it was. We ran through the dying palace, my fire pushing back the frost, melting ice from our path, bringing color back to crystals we passed. And then we reached the throne room. The creature stood before Queen Seraphina. She was on her knees, ice crawling up her arms and legs, her golden eyes defiant even as death approached. Around her, the last guards fought uselessly, their weapons passing through shadow like light through water. Ah, the creature said, turning to face me. The human returns, and he's brought my prize. It looked at Lunara with hunger that made my soul revolt. The oracle's gift in such a young vessel. So tender, so fresh, I will endure consuming her potential over centuries. You're not touching her, I said, my voice echoed strangely, harmonics of fire and light, and something older than stars. The creature laughed, bold words from a species that hasn't even left its own solar system. You are infants, mayflies, brief sparks that flicker and die in the cosmic wind. What can you possibly do against me? Another step, my fire growing brighter. We're the species that looked at the void between stars and called it a road. We're the species that found fire and refused to let it die. We're the species that tell stories about heroes because we believe, truly believe, that one person can change everything. The creature's smile faltered. We're not special because we're stronger or smarter or older than everyone else. We're special because we refuse to accept the cold. Every campfire we've ever lit, every star we've ever reached toward, every single act of warmth we've ever shown each other, it all comes from the same place, the absolute refusal to let the darkness win. I was burning so bright now that shadows fled from the room. You've eaten civilizations that were ancient when humans were still figuring out sharp rocks. And you know what? I asked, gone, truly gone. Its presence had touched many worlds, weakened civilizations, planted seeds of despair. When you destroyed its core, those touches faded. You didn't just save the Valanthe, David Chen, you saved everyone the creature had ever hurt. I let that sink in. A maintenance engineer, a nobody from Earth, had saved civilizations across the galaxy. I want to show you something, Lunara said suddenly. Can he walk, Mother?